Unmute mic. Okay, I think I'm good there. All right. So I want to welcome everybody to the stream. This is going to be the Tuesday briefing. If you click in the comment section, there's actually a link that's posted in there. And if you click on that link, it will actually bring you into the waiting room of this stream. Guys, when we do these shows, I want to actually participate. I don't get a chance to actually dialogue and talk and discuss these things with you guys. And this is where the real growth in the security community is going to come into play when we're able to have a discussion about the topics that we're bringing you. So if you want to be a part of the stream today, take that. Let's see here. It's going to be right here. You can copy that. You can paste that in your search bar. You can click on, and again, it'll bring you right into the stream. So that is in the comment section. And I want to take time to welcome you guys if you're here, man. It's a pleasure to be back, and I'm looking forward to this. So the first thing that I want to do, go over a little bit of house cleaning. Right now here in Portland, I want to give a big shout out to Echelon Security, and primarily one of their officers. His name is Michael Bach. We've talked about Echelon Security a couple of times here on the show. They are a local outfit here. They run an amazing security program, and they basically, oversee all of the security in most of the downtown area known as Old Town. This is a very, very rough area, rough neighborhood. And what they have done is they have created, I don't want to say a de facto police force because that's not fair to what they do. They have a very organized and specifically centered security contingency program that works with local businesses, works directly with the homeless. They do a great job of interacting with the people, interacting with the community, and they're making huge moves, and they're being very successful. I have worked with Echelon before. I know Michael. I've worked with Michael on several occasions. It's a great article. The unfortunate thing is with anything that is put in the New York Times, you have to actually pay to read the article. So unfortunately, I don't have that information right here, but I do want to shout out Echelon. I do want to shout out Michael Bach. These guys are doing great things here in the Portland area. They're getting national attention, national recognition, and it is so well deserved. The second issue, and kind of the main thing that I want to talk about today, is going to be dealing with PTSD. You know, I've told you guys before that I have witnessed 4 deaths while working. These are 4 overdose deaths, excuse me. And last year in October, I responded to a homicide, and it was the first homicide that I had ever responded to in a security capacity situation. And there was a conversation on security investigations and leadership. I think that's Sean's channel. He has an amazing channel, by the way. Make sure you guys check him out, follow him, subscribe. And he had a great conversation about dealing with PTSD that specifically revolved around an officer here in the Portland area, in the Southeast Portland area, last year that was shot point blank. This guy got into a struggle with someone that he was trying to remove from property. There was a fight over the firearm, and the subject was able to get the firearm and actually shot this guy point blank right in the chest. Now, luckily, he was wearing body armor, and there was an entire, news article and story that was done on this guy where they interviewed him, and he said that he went to work 24 hours later, went right back to work. And so the conversation that Sean was bringing to the table and having with all the people that were interacting was, should the security company have given this guy adequate time off? Why did he go back to work? And in the news story, the guy specifically said that the reason why he had gone back to work immediately 24 hours later is because he needed the money. So this created an issue where Sean was reaching out to the security company and was asking them about, their policies, asking them about, what their protocol was for officers who were involved in a serious situation like that. And it created a lot of great discussion about, officers dealing with PTSD, whether you're directly involved in something as traumatic as being shot yourself, or if you're responding to a situation like I did in October, where you're actually responding to a homicide, Or if you're in a situation where a lot of us officers who are in this Portland area, or any of you guys who are working in areas that are dealing with a lot of drug issues, a lot of drug overdose, when you're seeing people that are dying in front of you, how do you deal with that? Do you have any effects of post-traumatic stress disorder? And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't recognize when they're dealing with PTSD or they're suffering from PTSD, because this isn't something that's talked about, in the security industry, the security field. It's not something that's talked about, in general. I think more so in the last 10, 15 years as people have come back from Afghanistan or from Iraq. People are being more open and talking about this, but security guards experience a lot of things that put them in situations where they're dealing with traumatic experiences, whether directly or indirectly. And that conversation around dealing with post-traumatic stress, it's something that's kind of new. So that was a very interesting conversation that Sean brought up. I want to get into the protocol aspect a little bit further down the line, but I want to bring in one of our security guards that is on the line right now. I'm going to bring you into the stage here. This is our first time doing this where we're actually bringing in the people that are watching on the live stream. So if you can unmute your microphone, I've got TW. I'm not quite sure what TW stands for, but if he's here, we'll bring him on. We'll ask him a question, kind of see what he thinks about all this. Hey, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, what's your first name? What should I call you?
It's Tevin.
Tevin. Are you
Yeah.
a security guard in the industry?
So I am not, but I have worked in the field, and I managed about 80 guards in the industry.
Oh, about 80 or 8?
Yes, 80.
Oh, she's man, that's a lot. Damn. Okay. Well, so you've got a lot of experience with what we're talking about. Have you ever been in a situation where you personally dealt with any sort of traumatic issue, or when you were managing people, did you have a situation where you were managing someone who experienced a traumatic issue? What's your take on that?
So yes to both. So I have experienced situations where I responded to shootings, homicides, and all of the above. And also, I dealt with a situation where this it was her, I believe it was her boyfriend. She actually worked close to she didn't live on the site, but she worked at one site but lived fairly close to it. And her boyfriend and her went outside in the back, and unfortunately he got ambushed essentially. So all that stuff happened in front of her. Watched her boyfriend get killed, and she was able to get a couple of days off, but I don't remember her ever actually returning back to work after that incident.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot where, dude, you probably can speak to this. People get into security, and clearly, like, depending on where you're working and what your post is, you understand that there's danger to it, right? But I see so many security guards where they kind of understand and they're kind of aware, but when something like that happens, it's a shock to the system. I mean, the situation that I dealt with, a year ago was very much a shock to my system. And then just last night, we're at work, we're on a main area of major drug usage, and right across the street from our location, we see the ambulance pull up, we see the firemen pull up, and there's a guy that's just overdosed. And the paramedics here, I'm sure they do it wherever you guys are from too, but they have this machine that does the chest compressions for them.
Yes.
They put a back brace under him and they put the machine on him. When that machine comes out, I generally know it's a wrap because the paramedics weren't doing anything. They were just kind of standing back and the machine was pumping. And I think that by protocol, they're mandated to do CPR for a certain amount of time before they,
I,
sign somebody off as being passed away. So I kind of knew that was the case. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I've seen this, quite a few times. And it really hit me, man. Like it was more emotional yesterday. This is a homeless person. This is a drug addict. And as he's sitting there and I'm waiting for them to take everything off of him and declare that this guy has passed away, it just dawned on me like how insignificant in the eyes of the world everybody's life is. You know what I mean? Because like so many people were just watching, and they would watch for 30 seconds and then they would just look down at their phone and then they would walk
Yeah.
off. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So that kind of hit me last night. I was like, damn, I told my wife, I was like, man, this is really hitting me, like how hard it is, like how you live your entire life and you think that your life means something, and it does to you and to your family and the people that you care about and people that care about you. But on a world situation, you know what I mean? Life is so fragile and it's very insignificant. So, did you guys have a protocol at your company for dealing specifically with traumatic situations with your employees?
to my knowledge, we did not. It was fairly a newer company, about 2 years old,
Okay.
and didn't have really any protocols like that. And when I came on, I was inputting different types of protocols, so we can operate at a smoother rate. I no longer am with that company, but yeah, they didn't have anything like that set. You know, when I came on, I started setting certain things in place, to try to make, it a better place, for the employees. And also, like, a lot of times when it comes to like that trauma experience, or situations that occur, people aren't trained, or they don't understand, you know, the situation that had occurred, because they always believe, they're in their mindset, oh, nothing is ever going to happen around me. So they never prepare themselves to act when situations occur like that. They'll just, it's kind of like a shock for them. Oh, is this really happening? They'll, like you said, they'll look at their phone, look up, like they don't really know what's going on until maybe later on it may hit them in a different way. Um, and then, you also have those people that just don't really care about anything else but themselves, and they're just in their own bubble, and it's
Yeah.
not affecting them, so it doesn't bother them. And I think that
Yeah.
that's a little bit of an issue. I had this one story. I was
Well, I don't
teaching.
know what you're doing now. Are you with a different company or are you getting out of the security field?
I'm sorry.
Uh, no, I was going to ask, are you currently in the security field now or are you out completely?
Yeah, so I'm still, I'm in it now. Like, I'm on YouTube. I'm EGS Academy, the one that I comment on some of your things. Like, I've been watching your channel for a little bit. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna actually
definitely. I know
start
who you are.
publishing
Absolutely.
some photos. And I'm sorry. I'm about to start publishing some videos tomorrow. I have a training shoot I'm doing tomorrow. So I'm gonna train. I'm gonna be training somebody, and I'm gonna be publishing some of that footage there. So you'll see a little bit more about, what I'm doing, in that aspect. But
Well, hey, do me a favor, man. When you get off of this stream, go ahead and drop the link to your page in the comments, and then everybody, listen, go ahead, follow this guy, subscribe to his channel. Man, listen, yeah, I definitely recognize the name. I appreciate you following the channel and commenting and being involved. And listen, if you have something to contribute to the community, if you have a vision of how we can do things better, how we can help people, how we can create a better community, we need more creators out there. We need more people that are being, confident and that are sharing their vision. So, we'll support you in every way we can, bro.
I definitely appreciate that, and that's the reason why, I got back into like the security world in a way, by opening up my own company. But the security industry, I feel, is lacking, and properly trained officers. And I'm sure you see it where you are, and everybody that is a professional sees it where they are. And just like, the gentleman that I forgot, you mentioned him earlier. He made a video about this company in Philadelphia. I
Yeah.
watch him as well. He made a video about the company in Philadelphia. This guy's walking around with a with a I was gonna this guy's walking around with a AR-15, and he has no sling. Like, that's totally unprofessional. And for you, you're yourself is also a Marine Corps veteran. Am I correct on that one?
I'm an Air Force veteran.
Oh,
I
Air
would
Force
never,
veteran.
I would have
Okay.
never lasted in the Marines.
Okay. No, I wasn't sure. No, anyways, so in the Marine Corps, I'm sure in the Air Force as well, there's no way that you would walk around with a rifle
Yeah.
without a sling on. That was more towards like, that's like, you messed up, so therefore you're not going to have a sling on, and that was in training, of course.
Yeah.
But you probably know how it is to walk around without a sling, and that it just sucks. So a professional would not walk around without a sling on their rifle. Someone that knows what they're doing, and then also the holsters that they're wearing is not a duty holster. So these are things that,
Well, let me,
I'm sorry.
let me just say this. I think that with the group of people that were in Philadelphia. So I used to live in Pennsylvania, right? I was a state constable, I was a prison guard. And so, in that situation, you have, for those who aren't aware, there was a company. Let me move this out of here. Hang on. There was a company in Philadelphia that was tasked with protecting a cheesesteak restaurant. Now that sounds silly. Like, why would you need armed guards to protect a cheesesteak restaurant?
It's good
Well,
cheesecake.
it's great cheesesteak. It's not cheesecake, cheese steaks.
Cheesesteak. I'm sorry, cheesesteaks.
Cheesesteaks, right? So, Philadelphia is famous for their cheesesteaks. However, this one location is in an area of South Philadelphia. I have a video somewhere on my channel, and I talk about the worst experience of my life. And it was a night that I almost died when I got lost on the 4th of July. And I ended up in this area called South Olive, and it's in South Philadelphia. And it's an area where there are numerous videos on YouTube of people coming into this location and shooting each other. Like, it's crazy, right? So long story short, this girl that I'm with, we get stranded in this area. We walk into this restaurant, and these like 5 black dudes come in, and there's no doubt that they're going to either try and beat me up or kill me, and they're going to try and RAPE the girl that I'm with. There's no doubt in my mind, based on the things they were saying, where we were, the time, the whole situation. A security guard just happened to walk in at the same time, and through a course of events, I got out of this situation. But that area is so effing dangerous. It's like being in Fallujah. It's like being in Beirut. It's crazy. So it doesn't surprise me that a security company would be located out there, and they would have people with ARs or AKs, or heavily kitted up. I think that on one hand, the security company is trying to meet the threat with equal or greater um,
With
response.
greater capabilities than they have. And
Right.
I'm not opposed to rifles on duty, which I agree with, especially in the areas. It's just the fact of making sure that you're carrying it in a way that if you have to go hands on with somebody, you're not putting that rifle on the ground. Or if
Well,
you have to provide aid,
this is where the very sensitive topic of what I'm going to say comes in, right? Unfortunately, the black community as a whole is very new to let's just say the 2A community, right? Whether we're talking about in a security capacity, in an overall law enforcement capacity, or just in general, like, our involvement in the 2A community is very, very new. And I think, unfortunately, when it comes to a large segment of the black community, they have an urban view of gun ownership. And unfortunately, the
yes,
urban view of gun ownership, there's just a lot of jankiness to it. It's firearms without stocks, it's extendo magazines in your pistols, and
your
that kind
Glock
of stuff.
trigger,
Yeah,
your Glock
that
switch.
right. That kind of stuff, unfortunately, it bleeds into the legal side of a security company. Does that make sense?
No, that definitely makes sense. And that's when like professionalism comes to play. And a lot of times the company, at least for us, for you and I, we understand the professionalism aspect of it, but they may not necessarily see it right now. They may see it later, but it all comes to like when you're, of course, selecting a security company and your guys are all squared away. You may get an opportunity because of the way you have your uniform set versus so I've seen security companies with end of waistband holsters. It's not, you're not wearing an end of waistband holster like when you're working duty,
Well,
especially as security.
I will tell you this. Like, I think that, and to finish my point, is that how do you teach somebody something that they're not aware of? So if someone isn't
Yes,
aware, if I don't even know that there's other planets other than Earth, how do you explain to me that my view of Mars is wrong? Does that make sense? Like, I don't even know what
yes,
Mars is. So I think that for me, one of the big things that I'm trying to do is expand the view of black gun ownership across the board, and put people help people to understand the avenues for training and the avenues for education. But at the same time, my view and vision and outlook on firearms, education, training, all that stuff, it doesn't resonate with someone who is from South Philadelphia. And you say, like, listen, people might look at you and want to hire your company based on the professionalism. I disagree. I think that people that live in that neighborhood feel more comfortable with people that, unfortunately, to those who are further in the Midwest or on the West Coast, or people that are more ingrained in the two-way community, I think that the people in that neighborhood resonate with those people more than they would resonate with somebody like me. And that's that weird dichotomy. Like, we have to try and make our community more accepting. The two-way community needs to be a little bit more accepting so that we can help bring in more sound training and fundamentals across the board. Because right now, like, there's this urban side and then there's the traditional side, and like the two aren't connecting. And then we see things like that craziness out in Philadelphia, that regardless of if it's working for the people that are there or working for that community, at the end of the day, you and I and everybody else who's looking at it, we know that that's not a proper way to be doing things for a lot of different reasons. You agree?
Yes, no, I definitely agree, and that's another reason why I want to publish some training videos as well, because you know, right is right, wrong is wrong, and there's like that middle ground where people say, it's okay, but but you know, of course, safety is always, you know, the priority. And in the security industry, a big problem is the lack of, I would say, competent instructors. A lot of
Yeah.
people just want to get paid, so they're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, I have a class of 20 or 20 people that want to get their security license. I don't know how many hours is recommended, you know, or required by law over where you are, but over here in certain states or that's in the surrounding area, it may be like 16 hours of training, which that is nothing, you know. And a lot of security companies just rubber stamp you or just sponsor you because they need somebody, they need a heartbeat to fill the post, you know. And that's definitely what I want to, you know, you want to get all that nonsense out because it puts a bad image on the security officer, you know, someone that actually comes into the field and takes it seriously. Like when I got out of the Marine Corps, I started doing some security. I took my job seriously. I don't care what anybody else did, you know, but it's just like you have to really, um, you have to really, I would say it's like a sense of pride of, you know, establishing yourself and being professional in the industry.
Well, you bring up a good point that actually rolls into my next topic, which is the harsh reality, the truth about security. And that, you said that you take it serious, that you take professionalism seriously. And I do too. I mean, that's why I named the channel the Atypical Security Guard, right? Like, I don't want to be that typical security guard. But the harsh truth, and this goes back to what Sean was talking about in his video. Sean has been talking about forming a union. He's been talking about doing a class action lawsuit against the state of California and some of these large box security companies that are pushing to keep private ownership kind of unreachable or unattainable by some of the bills and laws that they're trying to pass right now. And then the conversation on why a security company would send back to work a guy who was shot 24 hours prior. And that all bleeds into the harsh truth about security. And the truth is that these companies don't give a shit. They don't care. And I don't know that I can necessarily blame them. I can blame them from a moral standpoint, but at the same time, this is a capitalistic society, and these businesses are not in business for a moral reason. They are there to make money, right? So the reason why a company sends a guy back to work the next day is because they've got a shift that they have to fill. And at the end of the day, they are more concerned about getting the money for that contract than they are the life of that guy. And when we talk about the people that are carrying around a firearm without a sling, you being in the military, having a background in understanding sound fundamentals of firearms handling, you understand that having a firearm of that caliber of that type and not having a sling is not proper for a lot of different reasons. But the company doesn't care. When we talk about training and having people be able to protect themselves, and why we're not doing gun retention, why we're not doing handcuffing training, why we're not doing de-escalation training, all of the things that if you are a generally somewhat sound human being with basic common sense, you would say, hey, if we're going to do this job, we should have all of this type of training. Why is there no protocol for what happens when someone gets shot? Why is the state governing board not providing some sort of, coverage for people if they're in this situation to get mental help when they're having to deal with PTSD? It's because they don't give a shit. And they're never going to give a shit. I don't think that's going to ever change. The only way that we can change that is for people like you who open up their own company to say, look, this isn't okay. It's not okay. It's not okay that we don't have that protocol. It's not okay that we're not teaching our officers X, Y, and Z. It's not okay that we're not running through, scenario training. To me, that's the only way that this is going to change. It's going to have to be each individual person and company that comes in to do something different, because these large, major, retailer type companies, they just don't care. What are your thoughts on that?
And no, you're definitely correct on the companies. They don't really care about the training because they just need somebody to fill the post, and that's the issue. It comes down to the company owner and what their foundation is and what their morals are, I would say, when it comes to running a security company. And that, unfortunately, there's a lot of, they say slumlords for owning, all these apartment complexes and not taking care of them and just not caring. Yeah, they're slumlords when it comes to the industry.
Yeah.
If you look at, these big companies, I'm not gonna say any names, but you see which ones are just, they even low bid, pay the person pennies on the dollar for the area just to get all these contracts, and they don't care when they lose them because they have so many, and that's their tactic, is just to accumulate, and they don't care when they lose it because they have
Yep.
so many, and they can just keep it rolling. The money's coming in. They don't care how, it's just still coming in. And they also buy up all these smaller companies that actually have a vision to make the industry better, and they buy this company up because they're doing well. And the person that has a security company, they need to say, hey, I have good contracts and I actually care about my clients. So I'd rather just keep all these contracts. But when the money talks for certain people, and I think that's also an issue when it comes to that, when getting purchased by a larger company. Of course,
Yep.
I have never been bidded on by a larger company, meaning that they're not saying, "Oh, I want to buy your company." So we'll see one day if that happens. But I want to frame away from like the large institutions of the way they do security because I don't agree with it.
Yeah. I think that's
And
good, man. And like you said, it's easy to take the moral high road when the checkbook's not open, but one day
yes,
somebody might come to you and say, hey, I'm willing to give you this amount for what you got going on. And I can hear you got a kid in the background. You're going to be wanting to pay for college and pay for a wedding at some point, and all those things. And listen, at the end of the day, when it comes to bettering yourself, nobody can fault you for that. However, I will say, while you are in the position of leadership and while you're in the position of providing for your clients and providing for your own staff, do what you're talking, man. What you're saying is the noble way and the right way to go about it. Do your part. And that's my whole thing. I can come on here and I can complain, but I am trying to do my part. And when my time is up in security, I'm hopeful that I've left it somewhere a little bit better than when I found it. While I have you on here, if I can keep you for about 2 or 3 more minutes, I want to ask you about this. I am putting a lot of time and effort into becoming a better shooter. I didn't grow up a shooter. Obviously in the Air Force, I qualified on firearms. I had my annual, requalification, but my job was not to carry a firearm. I worked in a nuclear program. But, now that I'm in security, I think that it's important for me to be very, very good with a pistol. I'm a paid pistol, and I try to be very good with a pistol. So I'm putting a lot of time and importance. I'm trying to look at my career kind of like I would if I was an athlete. I'm trying to go pro as a firearms carrier and as a paid pistol. What are your thoughts on the importance of training in terms of your firearm? in training in terms of anything else, medical, hand to hand, de-escalation, all the things that we're talking about, how much of importance do you put on that for yourself so that you can be a good leader and also be a good officer if you ever have to get back on the street?
So that it's very important for training, and I'll tell you this: even in a police department, there are officers that this is the things that they have told me. I am never going to take my weapon out of my holster. So what does it matter? And this is not like a nice area either. So even in the security field, having consistent training, meaning that not training just twice a year, is very important because you may rely on that firearm to protect yourself or even your family. I'm a firearms instructor, so I teach firearms, emergency medical, and some other things. So even the pistol, being able to carry a firearm is just as important as understanding how to utilize your medical equipment. Because if you get in that situation where, God forbid, one of your kids, your wife, or someone like that, or somebody that you care about is injured, you should know how to stop that bleeding and preserve life, because you are your own first responder. And that's what I tell everybody. Come get the training because you are your own first responder. The police aren't there. They're not going to help you because it already had occurred. The incident occurred already and they're gone.
Yeah.
The person's gone, or you stop that threat, and now you have 2 minutes to save someone's life. So it comes down to you. And the paramedics aren't going to get there in time if you're bleeding out,
Yeah.
depending on, of course, where you're shot or injured or whatever the case may be. It's just like going into the sensitive subject of an active shooter. The majority of the time, the police do not get there in time. And that's just because the person ends up killing themselves.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that you have to put these things into place where if something were to happen, you're not relying on law enforcement to come and save you, because they're never going to save you. The government is not here to help you, except for, of course, the police are. Yeah, the police are here to help you, yes,
Well, of
but
course,
they're
yeah.
not.
When they
Yeah,
get
they're
there,
they're
yeah.
not. Yeah, when they get there, but they're not able to do it at that instant. So you have to be able to do that yourself. You have to be able to provide medical or provide, that you stop that threat if you need to, because you're the one on the X, not the officer at that time.
You said something really good where you said, police officers who've made the statement, I'm never going to have to pull my firearm. What's the point? I think that a lot of times people in law enforcement or security or any aspect of what we're talking about, they forget that you're only working in that job for X amount of hours. The rest of the time that you're not at work, you still have the opportunity to become a victim. Like for me, I love the fact that when I'm training for my job. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm going pro as a security guard, but I'm learning to be a better gunfighter in case I ever have to get into a gunfight at any fucking time of the day. I don't care if I'm working or not. You know what I mean? Like, I want to, and like you're saying, like, I want to be competent at medical, not just because I want to be competent at medical when I'm at work. I might have a car wreck and I want to be competent at medical. I could be with my family and have to save somebody or save myself. So I think a lot of people are missing the opportunity to get this training in. And yes, you're getting it in because you want to be sound and proficient at your job, but also you just want to have this information so that you can utilize it, God forbid, whenever you have to utilize it. So I want you to kind of shout out your pages. This has become a podcast where it's just been me and you, and I'll take it. But shout out your pages. Let everybody know where they can find you on socials. If you got a website, I'm going to give you the next 2 minutes. You pimp your shit out, and we'll all follow you and support you, man.
Oh no, definitely, I appreciate it. So on YouTube,
Absolutely.
it's EGS Academy, and then also I have a website. It's eagleglobalservices.com. You can go on there and look at the services that we provide there. We do an array of services: CCV, TV, and also security services as well. But yeah, definitely, I think we should have some conversations back and forth offline. And I think that our both of our goals is to better the security industry, and
Absolutely.
we could feed off of each other and help each other out when it comes to, oh, let's do this, let's do that, make a video about this, make a video about that. But like I said, I'll be publishing some videos shortly. I'm just getting my content together because this will be the first year that I'm actually publishing this type of content, because I really want to hopefully, help some people and change somewhat of the industry, especially the one that I'm in.
Dude, I love it. I love it. I just put my email address in the comments, so feel free to email at any time. Guys, listen, whether you're watching this now or you're watching it on the playback, two things. Number one, if I can ever be of any assistance, my email is right there. You can email me about anything. I'm here to help. Number two, we will try to do these live streams on Tuesdays. I'm generally off on Tuesdays, but when we do these live streams, I want you guys to tap in. That's how it's going to go. I appreciate my man for jumping in here today. We ended up having kind of a personal podcast. That wasn't the plan. He just jumped on. So you guys are always welcome to tap in. That's how we do it. All right. Let me see. He came back in here. Hey, did you have anything else you wanted to say? I saw you jumped off.
Oh no, it was an accident. I'm on my phone, so it's if I press one button, it kicks me out. So it
Gotcha.
was an
Gotcha.
accident. Yeah. No, you were still talking. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all good, man. I just wanted to make sure if you had anything else you wanted to say that you had an opportunity to say it, man. I appreciate you being here, dude.
Oh no, I think you need to keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, I follow your channel. I like the work that you're doing, and there needs to be more people like that, because a lot of people that I have seen in the past that started their own channels, I didn't necessarily agree with some things that they were saying, but thank God they stopped making that type of content. The security industry is lacking in the amount of content and training, free training, let's say, that is on the internet that is actually useful.
Yeah.
It's full of a lot of nonsense out there that, I see certain things happen when it comes, if it's like room clearing or, de-escalation, disengagement, all these things. I've seen some things I'm like, yeah, this people shouldn't follow this type of information here. But, at least we have some guys out there like yourself and the other gentleman. I keep on drawing a blank. I have him on my computer right here. What's
Sean.
his channel? Yeah,
Sean. Yeah,
Sean.
Sean
Yeah,
does a great
security.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
security and yes, he's pretty good with the information that he puts out as well. I also
Yep.
follow him, and then Brian Rogers. He does executive security. I'm not sure if you have heard about him,
I have.
but
Absolutely.
I listen to a lot
Absolutely.
of his podcasts. And he's a former Marine as well. Like he's actually pretty good with his executive security stuff. I've been looking into that, and also thinking about that field as well to branch off into that eventually. But he has a lot of good content. Even security, it's still for security. Even though he does executive security, it
Yeah.
still fits the security industry, because we're all that still counts towards it. So he has a lot of good information. So I watch a lot of his podcasts as well.
Well, man, hey, good deal, good shit. Glad to sit here and chop it up with you, man. And like I said, man, we will all be following you and looking for you to do good things. And we need more good people out there. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you being a part of this movement. And you got a great future ahead of you, man. I can hear it in your voice. You're a good kid. I nothing but respect, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it. All right, guys. Hey, that was the live stream for today. That's going to be the one for maybe for this week. I might do one on Thursday. We'll see. But tell me if this is resonating with you, if you guys enjoyed it. And as always, be safe and be great. Take care.